Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Franco and today I'll be presenting a research entitled Network Security Evaluation in Training based on real-world scenarios of vulnerabilities detected in Portuguese municipalities' network devices. This presentation is divided in 8 different parts, starting with introduction, going through a literature review, methodology, and also data collection and data analysis, finishing with some conclusions about the study. Focusing on the problem statement of this research, public and private organizations are nowadays sensible to the need of maintaining their devices updated to the last security software versions. However, when focusing on devices, they are usually related to just servers and users' workstations, where network devices such as routers and switches are most of the time left behind during the update process. In contrast to servers and workstations, network devices require bigger attention and careful by IT professionals due to the lack of alert features related to the release of new patches and versions. Also, the installation of new updates is not as user-friendly as the installation done to servers and workstations. Network devices require an advanced knowledge in order to perform a correct system update. Not being an easy task that requires careful time, it is most of the time left for later, with the possibility of never being done, increasing, as a consequence, the risk of successful hacking attacks to organizations. Using an update system makes it possible for an attacker to exploit iOS and firmware vulnerabilities, taking advantage over the device. Being devices that are accessible from the outside or from the internet, their management and update should be constantly performed in order to prevent future attacks and private or sensitive information loss. Among the years, a large number of vulnerabilities has been found, not just on software level, but also on hardware side. Due to this constantly growing number, efforts are being done in order to better understand such vulnerabilities and present possible corrections, as well as their classification in order to better evaluate associated risks. The correct way on classifying vulnerabilities is still not fixed today. However, there are a large number of research groups and organizations that keep different classifications between them. Among these classifications, it is important to highlight the CAPAC that consists in a list of common standards associated to the wide scheme of taxonomical classification, the CWE that provides for free a measurable and unified set of weak points related to the software, CVE, that is a list of standardized software vulnerability and weaknesses names and was developed to standardize their name, and the CVSS, that consists on a system for assigning a severity score to each one of the existing vulnerabilities, and it was developed to promote an open and standardized method for computer vulnerabilities classification. As main aims, this study will focus on 3 different research objectives, where the first one is to summarize and identify the main existing vulnerability taxonomies and classifications. The second one is to analyze the current risk of impact in Portuguese City Hall network devices. And the last one, and third, to replicate some vulnerability scenarios integrated in a mobile lab, also to be developed in this study. Focusing on previous works, it is important to highlight 4 different researches approaching network security. The study handled by Liebman about the real SNMP vulnerability presents the real protocol security issue as being its architecture. This condition brings to the author 2 severe problems, namely the case when a flaw happens on the network, making it possible to establish the communication with the devices, and if the flaw happens in one of the remote network devices, making almost impossible for a technician to quickly access it. The study addressed by Agarwal and Wang about the mesh network performance on DOS attacks shows that a path-based DOS attack is most of the time more efficient if done through weak links, when compared to the ones done through strong links, and by the physical diversity, an attacker with a far physical location may be more dangerous than a close one. Another study, and this time focusing the man-in-the-middle attack, shows a possible security method where each node has one key. When communications are made between the nodes, it first starts with an authentication attempt, where the keys must be validated. Finally, The last study came to show that routers usually used on ADSL connections could once more be considered the weakest link on the network. Typically, these devices are provided by ISPs and, on their majority, are managed by users that have almost no technical knowledge. To conduct the study, the following research hypothesis is approached. The analysis of the current risk of attack to network devices in the Portuguese municipalities and its corresponding level of impact makes it possible to develop real-world scenarios to be used for awareness and training on network security hacking techniques. The adopted methodology makes use of a quantitative method, taking the Portuguese city halls as the survey objects, identifying their network devices and respective iOS and firmware versions, in order to reproduce scenarios and achieve the initial objectives of the study. As part of the survey methodology, questionnaires are also applied in order to collect all information while keeping the answers anonymous, not allowing the correlation between them and the participant municipalities. This method allows the study to evaluate the developed scenarios through tests with users in order to calculate their performance. A questionnaire needs also to be applied in order to study the population who will be testing the scenarios and procedures. Confronting the obtained results with information provided by the National Institute of Statistics in relation to the Portuguese population, this study covers around 50.2% of the whole Portuguese population, giving real-world significance to the study. With a total of 65%, which corresponds to around 58% of the obtained answers, Cisco is one of the most used brands of routers on the municipality networks, followed by Drytech with 10%, which correspond to just 9% of the obtained answers. Focusing on the Cisco models, 40% of the municipality are using the 800 series Cisco routers. It is also important to highlight that 26% of them are using a more robust device, the Cisco 2811, followed by the Cisco 1700 present in 11% of the municipalities. Questionnaires show that 48% of the municipalities are using devices with more than 4 years of usage, which, if not regularly updated, monitored and managed, may provide a large number of vulnerabilities easily exploitable by attackers. Questionnaires also show that almost half of the respondents are sensible to the need of performing regular updates to their network devices. However, the great majority, of 52% of the city halls, do not perform any type of update on network devices, neither their firmware. When asked about suffered attacks and vulnerabilities, 88% of the municipalities do not perform any type of analysis, not knowing the high risks they are going through. A more positive fact is that just 12% of them have already suffered a security attack, where in 50% of them there were no negative consequences, neither any systems nor devices damages. Also, among the identified security issues caused by attackers, it is possible to identify DOS attacks, which added to the present communication flaws a total of 38% of the attacks. It is also important to highlight the attacks where the device was compromised, with 12%, being necessary a password recovery procedure. When performing a vulnerability analysis, it is possible to find a specific CVE in more than one CAPEC category, due to the nature of this classification that focus on the objectives and service types as attack patterns. However, each CVE belongs just to one specific type of exploited weakness, CWE. The majority of the identified vulnerabilities, 80 out of 151, have a CVSS score of 7.8 out of 10, representing a really high risk of impact. A score of 7.8 indicates severe system flaws that may result in confidentiality, integrity, and availability loss. Now, focusing on the implementation of scenarios and the hack model itself, in order to implement tests as real as possible, and to allow a better awareness and training with hands-on possibility and using real-world equipment, and with a wide range of techniques, some factors were taken into consideration. Attack environment as internal or external to routers in a local area network, exploited vulnerability in CVE classification, exploited vulnerability impact in CVSS classification, exploited protocol, and attack consequence. Devices were also chosen in accordance with the municipality most used ones. Using different types of operating system was also a factor taken into consideration, and by this, on the 3 installed computers there is a Kali Linux provided with a large number of attack tools and 2 Windows 7. It is also important to highlight that this system may be easily changed in accordance to the implemented scenario. The mobile lab allows a large number of possible configuration and scenarios. However, in this specific study, it was adopted the following base network topology present in this figure. As it was mentioned before, tests with real users was performed in order to better evaluate the quality of the developed scenarios and HackMorval platform. 62% of the responders have some knowledge about network devices and their management and configuration. However, when focusing on hacking skills, 75% assume do not have any type of knowledge about this field. The obtained results on the implemented scenarios shows that 100% of the users felt really satisfied and motivated performing the configurations and the attacks on the HackMorval platform, as well as the supporting material that was provided in the beginning of the tests. In general, 50% of the responders classified the scenarios, support materials, and multimedia materials with 5 points on a scale from 0 to 5, where 0 is the lowest classification and 5 the highest. 88% of the responders classified the scenarios as very good. As conclusions, we can outline that when mixing some of the study classification, it is possible to obtain a deeper approach from each one of the existing vulnerabilities, providing a better understanding on the issue. Also, highlighting the municipality's average risk of impact, it is once more a factor that must be taken into consideration. A score of 7.8 on the CVSS classification, where the maximum value is 10, is considered a high and dangerous classification. The HackMorval development was considered a great help to awareness about network security hacking techniques and methodologies. We would like to show our gratitude to Fundação para a Ciência e a Tecnologia for granting this study, and also thank you all for your attention.